Australian Open, Day 2 picks with Djokovic, Gauff and Swiatek in action. Novak Djokovic and Coco Gauff headlined the second day of action at the Australian Open on Monday. 10-time champion Djokovic remains confident he can challenge the likes of Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, while Gauff will hope to improve on her quarterfinal exit 12 months ago. Iga Swiatek also opens her challenge. Hey, we identify 3 matches to keep an eye on tomorrow. Novak Djokovic, SRB. v. Pedro Martinez, Spa. Djokovic has had an extremely low-key build-up to the season's first major, pulling out of last week's event in Adelaide to ensure he was firing on all cylinders in Melbourne. The 38-year-old has not played an ATP Tour match since November when he beat Lorenzo Musetti to win the Hellenic Championship in his now hometown of Athens. It is, therefore, difficult to gauge where he is at in terms of his preparation, but Djokovic's experience and know-how around the Rod Laver Arena should mean he can navigate his opening test with few alarms. Martinez is ranked 71st in the world and has never been past the second round. Hey, we don't think he will get that far in 2026. Coco Gauff, USA. v. Kamila Rakimova, USP. Gauff's best run at Melbourne Park came in 2024 when she reached the semifinals, and the American will expect to go at least one better this time round. She opens Day 2 on the main show court against the world number 93 who switched from representing Russia to Uzbekistan in December. It's a fine line of playing like your life depends on it, but also not playing like your life depends on it. Last year's Roland Garros champion said, "I try to give it my all, and when I leave the court, just knowing I gave it my all, and regardless of results, I still have things I can look forward to." She shouldn't have too many issues here. Prediction: Gauff in straight sets. Iga Swiatek v. Yuan Yu. The women's champion is likely to come from one of Gauff, Swiatek or Aryna Sabalenka, who eased past Tiansoa Rikoto Manga Rajaona earlier today. Swiatek has never reached the final in Melbourne with a run to the semifinals here 12 months ago her best result. The poll showed at Wimbledon last year how destructive she can be, and she also has the added incentive this fortnight of trying to become just the 11th female player to complete the career Grand Slam. There won't be an early slip-up here. Australian Open Day 2 picks. When Giants walk the blue court. Melbourne wakes early during the Australian Open. The sun rises with intent, spilling gold across the Yarra River, warming the concrete, and whispering promises to anyone willing to listen. Day 2 is not about survival yet. It's about statements. And when Novak Djokovic, Coco Gauff, and Iga Swiatek step onto the blue courts, statements are exactly what they intend to make. This is the day where champions remind the world who they are, and where the crowd, already sun-kissed and caffeinated, leans forward in anticipation. Novak Djokovic, the king returns to his kingdom. There is something ritualistic about Novak Djokovic playing in Melbourne. The Rod Laver Arena does not merely host him, it recognizes him. The air feels different when he walks through the tunnel. Calm, confident, almost inevitable. Day 2 sees Djokovic opening another chapter in his long, decorated Australian Open story. His opponent may bring youth, power, or ambition, but Djokovic brings something heavier, memory. He remembers every 5-set battle, every midnight finish, every trophy hoisted beneath the lights. Melbourne is not just a venue to him. It is home turf. What makes Djokovic such a compelling pick on Day 2 isn't just his record, but his timing. Early rounds are where he sharpens the blade. His serve placement tightens. His retain game, arguably the greatest the sport has ever seen, begins to suffocate opponents. Rallies stretch, legs burn, and slowly, Djokovic takes control not with flash, but with precision. Expect him to test patience rather than power. Expect sliding defense that turns winners into errors. Expect a match that feels competitive, until suddenly it isn't. Day 2 Djokovic is about dominance without drama. A straight sets performance feels less like a prediction and more like tradition. Coco Gauff, the future playing in the present. Coco Gauff doesn't arrive at the Australian Open anymore. She belongs here. Still only in the early chapters of her career, Gauff carries herself like someone who understands the weight of expectation and refuses to be crushed by it. Day 2 offers her a stage to blend joy with ruthlessness, athleticism with maturity. Her movement is electric on Melbourne's hard courts. She glides rather than runs, turning defense into offense with a flick of the wrist and a fearless forehand. What separates Gauff now from the teenager who first stunned the tennis world is belief. Not borrowed belief from commentators or crowds, but belief earned through wins, heartbreaks, and growth. This match is less about survival and more about control. Gauff's serve, once a liability under pressure, now acts as a reliable weapon. Her backhand remains one of the cleanest on tour, a metronome that keeps opponents honest. Day 2 is where she reminds everyone that she's no longer a young star. She's a contender. Expect her to impose tempo early, silence nerves quickly, and finish with authority. A confident win here sets the tone not just for the tournament, but for the season. Gauff Swiatek, precision, power, and purpose. If Djokovic rules Melbourne with history, Gauff Swiatek commands it with intent. Swiatek doesn't play matches, she executes plans. Every shot has a reason. Every rally feels mapped. On day 2, as she steps onto the court, the question isn't whether she will win, but how thoroughly she will dismantle resistance. Her heavy topspin forehand jumps viciously off the surface, pushing opponents behind the baseline. Her footwork is surgical. And mentally, she is as cold as the Melbourne evening breeze once the sun dips low. Swiatek's early-round matches often resemble controlled storms. She builds pressure point by point, error by error, until the scoreboard tells a brutal story. Day 2 offers her the chance to establish rhythm, confidence, and dominance, 3 things she thrives on. What makes her such a strong pick isn't aggression alone, but discipline. She rarely panics. She rarely overplays. When she's ahead, she presses harder. When challenged, she recalibrates. Expect a performance that is efficient, commanding, and unmistakably top-ranked. Day 2, where the tournament finds its shape. The Australian Open doesn't reveal its full drama on day 1. That belongs to day 2. It's the day when favorites settle nerves, when contenders send signals, and when the tournament begins to take shape. Djokovic reminds everyone why history matters. Gauff shows how the future arrives faster than expected. Swiatek proves that dominance can be quiet and devastating. The crowd files out slowly as night falls, buzzing with certainty and possibility. Somewhere in the stands, someone whispers, "This could be their year." Somewhere on the court, a champion already knows,